Hi everybody, I'm Andy Foster and I'm here once again to talk about another development that I've made on my tumbling machines. Now the background to this is that one of the things I'm trying to do is to work out how to make a slightly cheaper machine for people that are on a little bit more of a limited budget. So I'm looking at all sorts of ideas to reduce the cost and reduce the final cost of one of the machines. And the particular thing I'm looking at today is the bottom stopple assembly that has the prongs on it to hold the bottle at its base. I'll just show you the current one. That's the one that I make at the moment. Now, as you can see, it's quite a complicated thing. It takes quite a lot of effort to actually put one together. These things do take a lot of rework when they arrive. They've got burrs on and all sorts of problems, and it takes quite a long time to actually put one of these together. And it makes it quite an expensive component. So what I wanted to do was to look at a different way of doing it and see if I could actually make a cost saving in terms of material costs and time costs. So what I came up with is this. So instead of having the stopple, the bung assembly, I've actually got a acrylic disc bonded onto the end of the tube, but the normal pronged stopple assembly that I use bolted onto the end. Now this is the same prong assembly that I use on the normal bung stopples. You can interchange it, you can just undo the bolt, put a 3-pronged stopple on, put a dome stopple on, but nonetheless it provides certain advantages over the bung type design. The first advantage that it potentially gives is it makes the tube actually shorter, because you haven't got to take up that much space with the normal conventional bung. So it means the tube, for a given length of bottle tumbling ability, the tube can be shorter, the rollers can be shorter, the whole machine can be a bit smaller and lighter, and it promised to sort of make quite a good cost difference once it's rippled through all the way through the design. However, things didn't work out quite the way I hoped. The first thing I discovered is that actually getting these acrylic discs bonded onto the end of the tube is an absolute nightmare. The tubes have to be cut absolutely perfectly perpendicular. The ends have to be polished. You have to use flame polishing to make them smooth, and it has to sit absolutely perfectly for the solvent weld glue material to actually work. It took me about 4 or 5 attempts to actually get a seal on this, and well, you can actually see frankly I made a bit of a balls up of it. There's bits of glue on the end, there's glue dripping down here. It really wasn't something that I could do without a risk of messing up the tube and making something that really wasn't very visually appealing. Nonetheless, it does work, it does seal, and it is functional. However, this won't be going into production, and the reason for it is a little bit strange. You can only glue an end piece on like this if you're using an acrylic or a polycarbonate tube. Now the tube itself is a fairly expensive thing, and what I found was, when I looked at the numbers, is it's much cheaper to use a 4-inch grey PVC sewer pipe that you can buy from B&Q or any sort of home DIY store, and retain the original bung stopple assembly. And the overall cost saving of doing that is more than the cost saving of using a disc and a standard tube and losing the stopple assembly. So although it's a bit of a novelty and it works, it's not something that I'm going to actually be putting into production. So why am I showing it to you? Well, 2 reasons. First of all, there might be some DIYers out there, people putting their own machines together, who look at this and think, yeah, that's something I can do. I've got some materials I can do. It'll save me actually trying to build my own bung assembly. And secondly, just to show you that not everything I do actually works well. This I think is in the category of also rans. I'll be using this tube myself on my own machine, so it's not going to go to waste. But unfortunately, it's not something that's going to be offered as a production item. Well, that's all for now. I'll hopefully see you on another video fairly shortly. I've got a few more things to show, so I'll catch up with you then.